Hi, good morning. Happy New Year. Today is going to be reading number 37 of the Haile Selassie version of the Holy Bible, a renewed King James version. King James was a murderer of black people, and so I've decided to abandon his Bible and to adopt this black king of Ethiopia's Bible, who was a Christian. Through the line of Sheba and Solomon, they had bore a child, Menelik I. In the lines of kings and queens and empresses and emperors, they ruled. Zagwe Destiny had ruled whenever they went against God's commandments. They lost power, and then when they were back in sync with God's will, they restored power. So nonetheless, that's what we will be reading, Genesis 4 today. And first we're going to sing One Drop by Bob Marley, because that philosophy through which King James had reformed the Bible, the Catholic Bible, and all Western theology differs in some respects from Eastern theology. And so as followers of God, followers of Christ, followers of God, it is our duty to find and to know the truth of who we are, the truth of who God is, and the truth of what was done to us. And yeah, so now I'm going to sing One Drop by Bob Marley. All right, here we go. Go on, JJ. Ooh, ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Feel it in the one drop, and you still find time to rock, making a one stop. Our generation gap, so feel the drum beat as a beat within, playing a rhythm, resisting the system. Oh, and I know just never let us down when we're right from wrong. And I know Jah never let us down. Oh no, 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 no. They made the world so hard. Every day people are dying. They made the world so hard. Every day people are dying. For hunger and starvation, lamentation, read it in Revelation. You'll find your redemption, and minds give us the teachings of His Majesty, 'cause we don't want that devil's philosophy. Give us the teachings of His Majesty, 'cause we don't want the devil's philosophy. Feel it in a one drop, and you still find time to rock. You're making that one stop. Oh, a generation gap, so feel the drum beat as a beat within, playing a rhythm. Oh, fighting against ism and schism, singing. I know just never let us down when we're right from wrong. 'Cause I know just never let us down. Oh no, 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 no. They made the world so hard. Every day, every day. They made the world so hard. Every day, and all day, day. day, day on day, dread, dread, dread on dread, yeah. Day, day, day on day, dread, yeah. All day. All right, now let's turn it down. So I had intended to go live yesterday, but I was running late. I didn't realize that I had work early. And as soon as I was about to go live, I had to work, not yesterday, the day before, the 31st. And then I went to church for New Year's. I went to a white watch night service, and kind of woke up late yesterday. So, but we're back today. Praise God. I know that, there's another thing that I want to say is that I'm learning that Rastafari is not a religion. It's a way of life. And so I'm learning these things. Because what Rastafari really is this is him. This is Rastafari. He was born Tafari, and then he was crowned as Ras in the kingdom of Ethiopia, and his name became Rastafari. And then when he was crowned king in the 1930s, his name became Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. So that's where Rastafari comes from. And so there are some people who believe that he is a god. And a lot of that comes because in the Kibra Nagas, and because of the line of Solomon, being that they are of the direct bloodline of the kings of Israel. A lot of people, and also people have said that in the books of Revelation, in the books of Psalms, that's proof that he is God. But he said himself not to worship him, that he was only a man. And so I have not received that revelation for myself to see him as a God. I see him as a great mighty king, a great mighty emperor from the line of Solomon, someone who is worthy for us to praise, and for someone who is worthy for us to respect and to honor, because he was the last ruling emperor of the line of Solomon and of Queen Sheba of Ethiopia. And that's another thing, is that a lot of white folks try to say that, white folks meaning Arabians, try to say that, well, she was from over there. But they don't have the proof like how these folks have. These folks have a whole story, a whole account of what happened, a whole account of her ruling. She's even mentioned in the Bible, in Kings, having had met with Solomon. And we also know that the white folks, and I hate to say the white folks, but that's who they were, that they took out those books of the Bible, and they made it to fit how they needed it to fit. So a lot of books were excluded, including the story of Kibra Nagas, which is Ethiopia's holy book, and that excerpt, and that explains the bridge between King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. That's contained in this Bible. So really what I've been trying to do is to dissect and to really learn and try to trace back history of who I am through information. A lot of stuff is in the Britannica, and it's really a lot of being able to piece together and looking at all the different things that was going on in world history, and kind of how to make that connection with through God's revelation. So I truly, truly, truly believe that we have been lied to, that I truly, truly, truly believe that we were mixed up with Hebrews, that many of us, we weren't heathens, many of us weren't worshipers of idols. Many of us were Hebrews. Many of us were worshipers of the true and living God. And all that proof, I believe, was burnt to the ground. And if we look at a lot of the wicked ways that we know of what's happened, why wouldn't that have been concealed too? History, they've changed history before, and they're trying to change history now by erasing the history of African Americans and slavery and how we got there, by trying to make it seem like slaves were just folks that were just, when that wasn't really what it was. We were raped, we were murdered, we were slaves. We were treated worse than cattle. Cattle were treated better than us. We were treated worse. We were treated like nothing, like the scums. We had to work from sun up to sundown, in the cold, in the rain, in the sleet, in the snow, for free. We had to eat scraps. We weren't allowed to think on our own. We weren't allowed to read. We weren't allowed to do anything. And when we were free, all we've been doing is wanting to be like the people who captured us. It is our responsibility to find out who we were and where we come from, because this world doesn't make any sense. This 30-day system, it doesn't make any sense. Everything keeps getting higher and prices keep increasing. The more and more people are free, the more and more people work, the more and more people contribute to the system, the more the system grows, the more. So I just don't believe that this is the way that God had intended it. I believe that something happened. And I believe that what it was that what happened was wickedness. And now all of us are descendants of the wickedness that happened. Even the captors, their ancestors, they don't know the truth. They've been lied to. All of us have been lied to hide the wickedness and to maintain this system of subjugation where the colonialists are up here and all of the resources go to them and everyone else is down here. And we got to crawl our way up to get there. And when we get there, we forget, and a lot of us abandon our ways because we now start to take on their ways, and we think that that is what the world is about. And I can't see that the world being about that. So I've been going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Who's listening to me anyways, right? What do I know? I'm just a sinner, a fornicator. I am someone who is trying so hard to get her life right in the eyes of God. But there's just so much misinformation. It just seems like, everything is sexualized and like sex is okay. Single parenthood, it's like, it's okay. Having AIDS and diseases, it's okay. Having multiple baby daddies and multiple baby mamas and multiple women and multiple men and having surgeries to look like this and to look like that. Everything is drawn around vanity and sex and destruction. And I'm just tired of it. I'm fighting back. I don't know no other way to fight back than using the internet and learning more about God. Because God is real. God is real. He has to be real because look at how this world is. People are dying for ridiculous reasons, for food. And then we judge these people for the things that they do so that they can eat. Everyone has to eat. And if I have the supermarkets locked down, and if I am not giving you any jobs, and if I am not giving you opportunity for you to be able to be a part of this system that I done took over, how are you going to get food? How are you going to eat if it requires money? And that happened to a lot of our people from slavery. We weren't allowed to work. We couldn't get no jobs. And if we did get jobs, it was the worst jobs. And they paid us crumbs on the table. They didn't want to give our men's jobs. So the women were able to get jobs. And they worked as servants in the house. And what did our black men turn to? Well, and that was something else that was fueled by the government. pumping drugs into our communities, getting these guys to sell the drugs, and then we're still fighting the same wars. It's just the system has absorbed more of us. More of us have been absorbed into this system way of thinking, and into this systematic way of being. And I just believe that there is another way. I don't have the power to change the system. And I don't want to change the system. We've been working to change this system since the day we were captured. And all it's done is just absorbed us to absorb its ways and to abandon ours. There's death and destruction. People are dying to look beautiful. People are dying to look young. People are dying to be loved. People are dying to eat. People are dying to have a place to live. Why? When there's an abundance of it. There's an abundance of it. But the only natural resource that really matters is that which produces wealth. And if it produces wealth, guess who has control over it? And guess why? I don't want to fight the system. I've realized that. I don't want to fight the system. Why fight the system? Let's create our own. Let's create our own. Let's create our own system as God intended it to be. Like the Maccabees did when they revolted against the king, when the temple was desecrated. And the Maccabees, they stood up and they said, no, you will not desecrate my God. You will not desecrate my people. We will stand on the word of God. We will stand on the God of Israel. And we will run into the bushes. And we will live there. And we will hide in the jungles where we can praise and serve our God according to our customs, according to his commandments, and according to his covenants. Not according to that in the way of the world. All of us have been lied to. All of us. And God is done. He's tired of the mockery. He's tired of what has been done. And he has slowly been building us up, building us up, building us up, and breaking them down, and breaking them down, and breaking them down, so that we can go into the wilderness and give a sacrifice and praise to him, to worship him in full and completeness, in truth and in honor, in dignity and in peace and love. Worship him the way we were intended to, not the way the white people taught us. Because their way is based off of their own theology, based off of their own reasoning, and based off of their own justifications of superiority versus inferiority all throughout the world. And yes, there are many, many white folks who are kind and loving and have a heart of God. I talk not about them. I talk about those who got this system in place and those who maintain it. Someone out there knows the truth of who we are. Someone out there knows the truth. And as long as the truth is hidden from us, as long as we continue to believe that God isn't real or that God is right, as long as we continue to believe that, they will continue to be in charge. So I say, let them. And let's start our own way, according to the manuscript of God. Ethiopia was never colonized by these folks. So perhaps that is where we can look. There are other folks who know of the truth, and they've done their research, and they're working to present it to us. And so really it's about being able to weed through what's real and what's not. God will show you the way. Ask him to reveal himself, his truth to you. Not from what you were taught, but from what he reveals and what he teaches. Because when we read in this word, we believe that God came to man. God sent his angels to man for his word to be written on our hearts and in our minds. So how come in 2024 we don't believe that anymore? Because so much lies and whitewashing have been happening. We feel that God hasn't heard our prayers because we've been misled. We have not been serving God the way our forefathers and our foremothers have served him. We've been serving God the way our captors has showed us to serve him. We have been worshiping him the way our captors have taught us to worship him. We have abandoned his commandments. We've abandoned his covenants. And that's why we are single parents. That's why we have so much disease and famine and sickness. And that's why money is ruling the world. We have to get back to God. And I just don't know how. I feel like I'm just like by myself trying to put together these pieces. And every day I learn something more that makes me want to just melt away and disappear. So I feel that I have a duty to let you all know what's revealed to me. I believe it's true because I serve no one else. I do have issues with men. I'm a lover of men. I'm a fornicator, and I pray for God to take that out of my heart. Because the only man who I really truly want to serve in my life is God. Those are my only sins I have. I try not to lie. I try not to hurt folks. I try to do things the right way. I mess up. I have family, relational issues with some of my children. My son doesn't talk to me because of decisions I made. So I'm not a perfect person. I've lived a very imperfect life. But one thing that is true and one thing that is real is God in my life. That is the one thing that is real. And that is the one thing that is true. And that is the one thing that is right. And that is the one thing that is no longer whitewashed. Because I no longer believe the lies that they've told me about God and their way and their worship and their philosophy. Because in the end, it's only led to death and destruction on our backs. They've used God to subjugate us. And we are to claim him back. Because God is not to be used in vain. He said, you will not use my name in vain. It is against the commandments to use his name in vain. And that is what their philosophy has done, to use his name in vain. So I truly seek to honor God. Not the way man shows me, but the way God reveals to me. Because I cannot trust man. Man has lied. And a lot of us get our knowledge from the captors. So I find it very hard to listen to a lot of our philosophy, because a lot of our philosophy has been whitewashed and tainted. And we truly believe that we can go around doing whatever we want to do and go and turn to Jesus and say, oh, Jesus, forgive me, I have sinned. It's more than that. There's more than that. Jesus didn't say he came to replace the law. He came to fulfill it. So what that means is we are to fulfill it. We are to honor the law. The law conflicts with the ways of this world. The law conflicts with the ways of my life. The law conflicts with it all. Do you know that in the Torah, it says that people who are not Jews are hogwash? Racism is in there too. So how could they be God's people? Everything's been whitewashed for control and power. Israel wasn't even a freaking country until 1940s, when they really hated black people in the 40s. Ain't no black doctors. You black folks going around traveling and cruising, getting your tits and your lips done and looking good and stuff. I'm not hating. There was none of that. You know where you were in 1940s? Black folks all around the world. Guess where you were? Just because they give us freedom doesn't mean we have justice and truth. It is our job and our responsibility to seek our own truth and to stop relying on the lies of massa and the ways of massa as our way of being. We do that today. Their way is beautiful. Their way is right. Their way is this. Their way is that. In all our actions and all our doings, we chase to be a part of this system. We want to be a part of their CMAs. We want to be a part of their this. We want to be a part of everything that they didn't want us to be a part of. And they didn't want us to be a part of that. We fought and fought and fought and died and fought to be a part of. For what? For what? To end up in a 30-day system and chasing riches and end up still sad and depressed and alone in a world that doesn't make sense because you got to work a 9 to 5 every day at a job that you hate to pay bills that you can't afford. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. I'll read Genesis 4 tomorrow because I have to work now. I just need to be transparent, and I don't know. I don't like people knowing my business on the internet. I don't like people knowing my business at all. But this is not my business. This is God's business. You know? I can't. It's not my job to convince you to believe me. It is my job to reveal to you what God has revealed to me. And I pray with all my heart. I pray with all my heart that God reveals His truth to you. The truth of who He is, the truth of who you are, and the truth of what's been done. So that we can truly see that we are living in the last days. We are living in Babylon. We have been overtaken by the ways of Rome. Rome has influenced our religion and our way. All of us weren't heathens waiting for the white man to come save us, to introduce Jesus to us. That was a lie to justify their treatment of us so that they can take our lands, so that they can take our wealth in those lands, and so that they can take our bodies to bring it to a new land to produce wealth for them. That's what we did for hundreds in hundreds of years, and we are to just forget about it and to be happy. When we talk about it, we're angry. When we talk about it, we're racist. When we talk about it, we're this, we're that. Because to talk about it, to acknowledge it, would mean that it did happen. And you know how much money that would be that they would have to pay us back? If they were to use the same laws that they used against us, if they were to use the same laws for us, for justice, do you know how much money that they love and now we love? Do you know how much money that would be? That would be going back into our continent, the continent of Africa was raped. If all of her people were returned back there and we were able to go back there and make our own commerce and stuff, their world would be bankrupt. Their world would be bankrupt. We can make our own. If you're tired of this system, create your own way of life. One that honors God. That's what I hope to do. I hope, and I pray, in 20 years' time, to be able to live in a system of life that revolves around God and not around money and wealth. God bless you. Have a blessed day.